could you introduce yourself and let us know your pronouns and where you live?
Yep. My name is Dior Saint Hillaire. She, her, they is fine, and I live in the Bronx.
I know it's kind of a loaded question, but do you see connections between the Black Lives Matter uprisings, the COVID-19 pandemic, and climate injustice?
Well, yeah. I mean, one of the sayings that I love. I don't know who is the originator of the quote, but you will hear it frequently that there is no climate justice without racial justice. You know, our bodies are abused more than by the police. Our bodies are abused by the infrastructure that exists around us. There are many different ways that our bodies are abused, and thinking about all of these things converging together. And so, police brutality is one aspect of it. And having these trucks come into our neighborhoods is another way. So when I think about COVID and Black Lives Matter movement and the climate crisis, I immediately just think about the South Bronx and how they like literally like boop, can get all three of those things from every single angle, with what's going on right now.
If you were to see your community make a transition that creates more justice, what would that look like to you? Do you see like any
Community control. Community
mhm.
control. We have to have local control. And what I mean by that is in a very, 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 very real way, right? Like community land trust, I'm a big supporter, obviously, because we're a worker owned cooperative. I'm a big supporter of worker owned cooperatives. The people that are affected by the decisions that happen to them should be the ones that are controlling the decisions that are affecting them. Community control is a large way of putting, I don't want to say like righting the wrong, but it's a form of restitution, right? It's one thing to say stop what you're doing. It's another thing to say, okay, now I'm gonna also invest back into what I've disrupted and what I've damaged. It all comes down to the people living there controlling the energy production. Obviously we have to be able to produce a lot to talk about alternative energy and going into a different form of the grid. So, I'm not here to make it seem like, yeah, let's just do it. And it doesn't, like, we have to have a scientific conversation about the feasibility of it as well, the infrastructure, who's going to monitor it, who's going to invest in getting it, set up, all of those things. However, at the end of the day, I believe that local results should be made by local decision makers.
I'm just curious, what are your thoughts on like a polluter pay model? Like the polluters pay for the amount that they pollute, and then that money goes straight into the community in terms of like investing in whatever it is they want.
It's something, it's not nothing. And I think that we have to think about it like that. Of course, it doesn't align with the long-term planning, because the long-term planning is like, actually, you should just stop. I don't want you to even have to pay for it. Like, you should just stop. And we need to have regulation for you to stop. I think that is a step to get there. So two things, I think we don't really have a lot of time. And so unfortunately, like, that prolongs like the inevitable when I think about it like that. Because especially these corporations make so much money. Like, what would it be, like 1% for the planet? They have all these different,
Mm-hmm.
sort of ways that they can get around how they pollute, and they will still do it anyway. And it's not that it'll make them feel better. Maybe it'll make them feel better, but I personally feel like, yes, you're already polluting now. That's what you can do, is put some of the money in there. However, I still feel like there should be like, we'll take the money now, but we're still on track to have legislation that like still
Mm-hmm.
limits your polluting and like stops your polluting.
I feel like I learn from you every time I talk to you, and
Thanks.
I could also just listen to you talk forever.